Hello and welcome to the Long Island Blues Society's Blues Educational Sessions. It's definitely my privilege to do this, and these are held the first Wednesday of each month, and we've done a whole bunch of them already. So if you ever can get on the Long Island Blues Society pages and website and everything else, you can take a look at what we did in the past. We've had great performers. So tonight, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you a keyboard instead of guitar stuff. And this keyboard in front of me, like so many others, it's called a music workstation. What the heck is a music workstation? Okay, well, I find it to be the fastest and simplest and easiest to record. You can make stuff super quickly, and you don't need a lot of knowledge of computers and Pro Tools and things like that. And the price ranges on these instruments, you can actually get something with a built-in sequencer, they call it, music sequencer. You can actually get one that's probably starting at $200 and goes up to anywhere up to $3,000-$4,000. This happens to be a very high-end machine we're sitting in front of. It's called the Korg Kronos. My favorite axe these days. I've always been bred on Korg. I find Korg instruments to be easy to navigate as opposed to the other one. And some of the other brands you might think about, you have Roland. They make great music workstations, and of course Yamaha. But I found that both of those machines are twice as complicated to get around and negotiate the screens and wherever you got to go. It's a lot harder than this. What's fantastic about this machine and what attracted me to it is that besides having built-in 16 tracks of digital recording, it actually also has 16 tracks of analog recording, where I could plug a microphone into the back or anything, guitar, whatever. The only thing I don't like about it is that it doesn't have an XLR jack in the back to plug things into. It's a 1/4-inch guitar jack, and I think that's a little bit, I don't know. They could have done better on that. Now, how big do you want these things? This happens to be 73 key, weighted keys. These are weighted, so it took me a little bit of time to get used to playing on weighted keys, being really a synthesizer guy and not a piano player. The average one that people get is 61 keys. That's the models that we always used to use in school. I used to run an electronic music program. So you have 61 keys, 73 keys, 76 keys, and then you got the full grand at 88 keys. Okay, and there is a 49 key out there, but who cares and who knows? How does this thing save? What do we do here? Well, there's a couple ways. This one has an expanded RAM in it, so I could put tons of music in here before she runs out of room. When you get to the analog part of this, that's going to use up a lot more memory. So you can save internally on this, or with USB sticks, or external. Has USB interfaces on here, so you can certainly send it out to computers or whatever, wherever you want to put it. Okay, here's some of the things I'd like to give you a crash course in how to do this. So the goal here is I'm going to try to come up and make like a background track. We'll make a 12-bar blues in honor of the Blues Society. How do you like my shirt? And we'll go with the 12-bar blues today, and maybe a little funky or something like that. I don't know what. I never know what I'm going to play, so just see what happens. Some of the things I want to talk about, and I'll just go through the list real quick, and then we'll go through them one at a time. First thing you got to really think about is the metronome. A lot of people don't like metronomes. I love metronomes. I grew up with them, and they're like the drummer. It's always been my drummer. And so we'll talk about metronomes and stuff like that, when to have it on, when to have it off, things like that. They're called Midi channels on here. So another thing we got to do is, there's so many sounds that I have uploaded or put into this or that came with it. I don't know, offhand, the exact number. I'll give you a guess. There's something like 4,000, something like that, something crazy. So we have to assign the timbre, the sounds, and things like naming tracks, visually, naming your songs, how many songs. You could put like 100 songs on each thing you do, and then load up another USB stick or whatever you've been saving. You got another 100 on there. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. It's crazy. And the big word I'm going to talk about today is quantize, or resolution. Quantize is your auto-correcting of the rhythm, and there's a lot of ways to do tricks with it and use it. And then the question is, do you want to sound too mechanical or not, But if you want to get a rock-solid groove out, I definitely am a quantize guy for most of the rhythm tracks. And then I'll throw in usually something that's not quantized, like a guitar or whatever, to loosen it up and make it sound, more natural, I guess, something like that. The big thing of looper pedals and stuff. I have a beautiful looper pedal I like to use when I'm playing acoustically. But this thing has many different ways to loop or set up all kinds of layering. So we'll talk about that. Something you might want to think about a lot is tempo. We take it for granted. Oh yeah, that's the tempo of the song. What's great about these machines is, you could, back in the old days when you slowed a record down, the pitch went down, or vice versa. If you sped it up, your pitch went up. And we used to steal licks off records. I don't know if you remember that. Some of the, I remember trying to figure out the solo to Whole Lotta Love. So I put it on 16 RPM from a 33 record when I had that. When turntables still had 16 RPMs, and it would go down an octave almost, and then so you could kind of steal it that way. But with this is great. You can change the tempo. With digital machines, doesn't matter. The pitch is not going to change if you change the tempo, and that is such a practice plus. So I want to talk about that. I want to address stereo. And we take it for, there's a left and there's a right. Yeah, that's all right. But there's so much more than that. Where in the stereo spectrum are you doing things? Can you actually create the illusion through stereo spectrums of front and back? So hopefully we'll talk about that, or maybe that'll happen. And then another thing that's crazy on this is there's so many built-in effects. There's racks and racks and racks. And so I'll show you some stuff, maybe dry, and then we'll add some sweeteners on it and effects or whatever, chorus, flanger, all kinds of echoes, and you get time, digital delays, whatever you want to do. Doesn't really matter. Of course, you'd have to know on this machine, in case you have a blackout, keep your fingers crossed. You got to save your work, so I'll show you kind of quickly how to do that on these machines. And then near the end, what a wonderful device this is for practicing. Again, is that, remember the term music -1? Well, you could mute any track, you can solo any track any time. And so imagine that, and trying to, say you're trying to fit a guitar part in against something, and you just want to play against the groove or just with the bass player or something. It's whatever you want to do. It's great. So we're going to work on that a little bit too. So anyway, let's get started. What I'm going to do is one of the first things I talked about is the metronome. I don't know what's going to happen today. Good luck. I'll meet you at the end, as they say. But I'm thinking of a metronome in my head right now. I'm going to start something. So it's called tap tempo if I want, or I could just punch a number in up here. because, as musicians, we have to get to know, how does 80 BPMs feel? How does 120 feel? When I used to teach students all the time, I used to say, you want to know how to remember 120 beats per minute? Just do Billie Jean in your head, or just pick some song and that you memorize the tempo. And it's so crazy is that we all have photographic memory for tempo of songs. I don't think I've ever met anybody who didn't. And it's just like you always get the right speed, usually. So anyway, let me tap a tempo here, okay? Okay, and that's showing up here as 98 beats per minute. That's pretty rare that it's 98.00 because you can assign tempos on this down to the hundredth. So it could be 98.36 or whatever. And that's pretty crazy. So that's my tempo. How do you record? Where do you start? Well, I've been cheating a little bit before we started today, and I did assign sounds to save time so we don't sit here all day just looking for sounds. But on this track that I'm going to have up here, you have to have the MIDI track ready to go. So I'm on MIDI track 2. Why? I just feel like doing hi-hats or something to give me tempo, almost acting like the metronome. So I don't know if you know much about these kind of machines, is that in all the drum kits, every different thing you hit is a different instrument. All the way up, it goes crazy. It's just insane. Okay. Hey, there's the cowbell. All right, so we'll get to that later. But anyway, maybe I'll try to do some hi-hats first. Okay. So there's a preference tab down here where the loop is found. So I like to start things. I'm going to put a quantize on. It's called the recording resolution. So here's my tempo I'm feeling. And you don't need to know really music theory, but if you know a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. I realize that. But if you know a little bit, how do you split this puppy in two? You know, that's eighth notes. And then if you did one, you had a two, you had a three. So you get that in your head. And I tend to leave my left heel on the floor a lot, and I anchor myself with that. That was taught to me by Billy Bauer, old jazz guitar teacher. Anyway, so I got 16th note quantize on. So what does that mean? That means I can't play anything faster than 16th notes. They're not going to come out. They're all going to be squished into a 16th note pattern, or somewhere in the 16th spectrum of one eanda. Okay, so here's my metronome. Where did I find that? There's on the right-hand side here, it's rec, right, start, stop. So you could just practice with that. We'll start with that. So I feel like doing hi-hats. Let me take a look at it. So it's going to be closed, kind of a different closed one. And then this one's open, and look what happens if I can shut it with the first one. This is the F sharp in the middle of my keyboard, like that. So I don't know which one I like. Those are 16th notes. The way I like to play percussion on keyboards when I'm recording, being that I'm not really a piano player, I'm just kind of a synthesis guy, is that I like to keep the two, if it's black keys, I like to, instead of slipping off with the index fingers, I like the two next to each other. So let me try laying down 12 bars. Since we're talking about 12-bar blues, I can see the measures in front of me scrolling by, split into quarter notes. So it'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4 will show up on my screen. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to hit the start button. If I mess it up, I can erase it instantly and just go right over it. So a lot of people, they get paranoid. Oh, what if I make a mistake? I'm sure I'm going to make a lot of mistakes here. Who cares? Okay? So let me try doing a 12-bar thing. You can count with me if you want. Here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll miss a few things here. Is bar 5. Gotta go 12. Hit that other hi-hat once in a while, give it a little color. Maybe at the end here I'll throw in. Ooh, I made a boo-boo. Alright, how do you hear it back? Well, there's a locate button, but the first time you record something, you don't need to hit it because it automatically resets to measure 1. But just in case, I hit it. So let's hear what I did. That one tom, I accidentally hit a tom-tom in there. I don't really care because it's going to be covered up if I do like, 8 tracks here or something. I mean, I could get rid of it in event edit. You can take anything out. So here we go. Notice the metronome is gone. I could keep it on if I want. I'll show you how to do that. So here it is, back on. I'm gonna leave it off. See if you hear that tom. I kind of like it. 2, 3, 4. Okay. It's okay. I like it. I'll keep it. It's a keeper. Okay, so now next, I'm in this place called Preference, which is just another part of the screen, the main screens. And there's an option here to loop it. So it says measure 1 to watt. So that was 12 bars. So I'm going to hit the loop 1 to 12. Okay. Let's try that again. There we go. So now she'll come around after bar 12. Okay, here's something else I want to show you. You can speed it up. You don't have to sit there. Like, let's say you did a 85 bar piece or something. You can just fast forward while it's playing to like bar 75 and listen from that point. So here we go. I'm going to speed this up. I'm going to move it up to bar 10. See if she comes around on the loop. 1, here's bar 12. End. And that's the beginning again. Okay, I got it. I can record in loop mode. However, it acts like an overdub. If you want to erase it, you'd have to go back to overwrite and record over it because overwrite means write over. All right, so I got that in there. What are we going to put in next? I don't know. How about a kick drum? Okay, so I'm going to go to a kick drum. Am I going to keep it in loop mode? No, I'm going to go back to overwrite. I don't trust myself. So here's kick. Where's kicks? Let me look around. C1 I mapped out. Here's kicks. I'll use that kick. We don't have to be picky here. Okay. I still have my autocorrect, the resolution thing on 16th notes. That means I better be pretty accurate with my rhythm. And I'm also thinking in my head, am I going to put any 16th notes in the kick drum? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Okay, so here's second track. How do you not erase the first track? You got to make sure you change the MIDI track button there, the MIDI track number. If I keep it on track 2 and I'm in write over or overwrite, it's going to erase that track. So I changed the track first. Okay, so here's a thought. I could practice with it the first time around. So I'm going to do that. Only thing is you don't get a count off unless you want it. So I'm just going to kick it in and see what happens. Maybe something like that. Okay, that's enough practice for me. Now I'm going to get that metronome lead in. I did put my metronome back on because metronome is my friend. So here I go. I'm going to see what happens. See if I mess it up or if I get through it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, a little funky thing there. Playing a white key. So I don't want to two-finger it. Bar 9, 10. Okay, I don't know if I'm happy with the end, with the last bar. So I'm going to go right to bar 11 you hear the last two measures. I'd rather leave a hole there, a space there, because there's nothing better in music than to leave a lot of spaces and a lot of holes, because it lets things breathe and you can certainly fill them up later. So I'm coming right in at measure 12. I'm just going to stop it. I'm going to hit a couple times and go. So here's measure 12 on the kick drum. 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. That's all I want to do. Okay, I like it. I'm going to go loop and listen to it. You'll hear it repeat after measure 12. Measure 9, 10. Yeah, and I like that little space there, so we can throw something in there, or for looping around later, that's a great spot to put a fill in. You know, space is the place. Okay, what else? What do you want to do now? Let's do more drums before we hit a bass part. Okay, so I'm going to try, let me change a track. I'm going to put a snare in. Now, of course, in recording studios, you try to isolate all the tracks on separate tracks the best you can. You know, it's a little tough when you got a drummer and you're miking the drums because they bleed into each other. So, I mean, I could go crazy on here and I could really isolate each thing. But for this one, maybe I'll put some tom-toms on top of snares or something like that. So, what do I want to quantize this? I don't think I want to get too fancy with the snare. So I'm going to change they call it the resolution, remember? I'm going to put it on a picture of an eighth note. So that's the fastest I can play is an eighth note. So let's see what happens. And where am I? I am trying to find me a snare drum. Oh, there's one. How's that sound? D2. I kind of like to map things out, and I don't know if you know, but every note on a keyboard has a letter, of course, and a number. And inside the guts of the keyboard, if you're looking in like event edit, you're trying to see what did I play. Everything's called a sharp. Okay, so this is F sharp. It's not G flat enharmonically. Okay, so let me just throw some snare in. I'm going to just play straight snare on 2 and 4, okay? And I changed my track, and I'm back on measure 1. And I'm going to let it play around in loop. I'm going to take a chance. So here I go. Get that in your head. And I'm going to come in with a snare on 2 and 4. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to get that, because I played 16th breakdown. Let's see what it sounds like on a playback. What Quantize did it. Is the playback already? Because I'm looped. I like it. Sometimes if I'm quantized on 8th notes instead of 16th, it'll move it on top of each other. Okay, I'm on the same track. I'm not going to change a track because I'm in overdub or loop. Acts the same. I'm going to change my quantize to 16th notes. So I'm going to add some toms now. Okay, on the same track. Not a lot, just a little fill there maybe at the end or somewhere. Maybe, it's 12-bar blues, so, a lot of times it's good to introduce the next chord change or something like that, with a little roll or a fill. So, who knows what's going to happen. Okay, here we go. Tom-toms. throw a little in here. I didn't like that, but let's see how it comes out. I can always erase it, even though I went over it though. I like the ending. This playback. Comes the fill. It worked because the Quantize saved me. Alright, I'll take it. Yeah, and you see how that space at the end, it gives us freedom. Okay, I'm going to try throwing in, I'm going to go to overwrite now, and let's find a bass sound. I like, poppy, funky bass. In my head, I'm thinking, yeah, so here's another thought. If you're playing bass on these keyboards, you wouldn't, you could, you could do like Jaco Pastorius and do a high solo. You'd be up there somewhere. Or wherever. But realistically, you're down here. So that's where you want to hang out. I'm thinking of E blues here, because Long Island Blues Society here, folks. And so I'm going to do, E blues. It's E, A, back to E, and then you're going to go B, A, back to E. Okay, so let's see what happens. I think I'm going to do something a little different with the bass. I'm going to try to pump the rhythm like dum, 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 like that, give it that. So something like pushing, like, here we go. So I'm just going to jam this. Wish me luck. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't like the ending. Okay, but let's hear what we got. I like it. Yeah, I don't feel like leaving the tom-toms and the snare there naked at the end without the bass player. So I'm going to just kick in on the E at the end and hope for the best. Here's measure 11. Remember, 12-bar blues. So I'm going to redo the last 2 bars. How can I go over it? I just start on measure 11 on the measure counter. And I'm in overwrite mode. So it'll erase from 11 on. It'll save what was before it. Measures 1 through 10. So here we go. Measure is I might have to try this a few times because I don't know what I'm going to do. 3, 4. There it is. Very simple. Simple is the key. All right. Okay, we got that. Now I'm going to go back to loop. Just to hear it once around and see how I feel, okay? I like it. I like it enough. What do we need? We need cowbell. Where the heck is a cowbell? All right, I'm going to look around. Might take a second. I need to go to a new track, one I haven't used yet. So far, I used 4 tracks. I'm going to track 5, because I have percussion kit on there, a different percussion kit. Ooh. Okay, I'm just going to mess around with that. I'm going to keep it on 8th note resolution or quantize in case it doesn't trigger off in the wrong direction. Okay, I'm just going to do a cowbell track. See what happens. Where would you put the cowbell? I'm thinking quarter notes. What's a quarter note? Well, quarter note is the same as the metronome click, you know. Do I need a metronome still? Because I have, drums and bass playing already. I'll still leave it on, maybe just for this, and then we'll get rid of the metronome. You'll hear it. But anyway, it's a little quiet, this cowbell, but we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm just going to play mostly quarter notes and maybe drop out or sometimes hit it twice or something. Here we go. Okay, I'm on the right track. Here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll leave it off on that last beat of each measure. 2 fingers on the black key. It helps me from losing it. Now I'll play through the last beat because it's the turnaround. I gotta watch it. I got it. You gotta look out for cowbell. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's kind of a pitched instrument. It's got, I don't know what the note is right now. I could find it if I want, but it's, it could get in the way, so I don't know. Okay, what else we got? How about some kunga? You guys want a little kunga on there? I don't know if that's taboo in the blues. Help it move. It'll help, I call it the machine. It'll help the machine move on. So I'm thinking of dagga, 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 one hand, that kind of stuff. I like this. Yeah, there's something interesting there. If I hit it harder, it's going to have a different sound. So I don't have to get on 2 different keys. I can actually go all from 1 key. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to... staying on the same track because I want to, concise. I don't want to waste a track on that. And this is just, remember the goal of this thing. We're trying to just make a quick background track that you can jam to. Now, if I wasn't explaining this, I would have been done a long time ago. That's how fast this method is. And it's not my method. It's just the way to use the machines. Okay, so let me throw a little one-handers on a little kunga. Okay, here I go. See what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cinco de Mayo. Remember, the quantize is going to make up for my lack of rhythm in my... Let's see what that sounds like. Because the metronome will be gone. And that metronome it's starting to drive me crazy now. Okay. Let me show you something there. Is that I had the quantize set for 8th notes. So it's not playing back what I played. And I'm in overdub loop. Do I have to erase the cowbell and do the whole track over? No. There's a compare button over here. And that takes away, as long as you're on the same track, the last attempt that you did. Okay, so I'm going to put the new one in with 16th quantize. So one more chance. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's see if I got it now. Yeah, there it is. So it's good to listen back. See if you like it. All right. It's okay. It's not bad. What else we need? This is a keyboard. How about some keyboards? I got an organ I can find. Maybe. Okay. Okay, I like that organ. You know, there is whammy bars and everything on this thing, but we'll talk about that in a second. But if you're using what they call quantize or resolution, and you have it set to something and you use the whammy bar, it's going to quantize your whammy move. So instead of something like, okay, actually, it won't even do it on an organ. Wait till I get to another sound and I'll show you that. But you got to be careful of using a whammy bar when you're quantizing. Don't quantize. Leave it off. Okay, so that's really the point I was trying to make. Let me just throw in a simple little keyboard part. See what happens. I have no idea what I'm going to play. I know it's a blues. Let me rehearse. Let's see what happens. Who knows? Okay, here goes an organ. 1, 2, 3, 4. I made one mistake in it. I'm sure you all heard it. Let's see if it picked up, because I did have the quantize on. So. That's a little cheesy. Hey, this is only rock and roll. I'm going to keep it. How about another keyboard? How about a regular piano? Or electric piano? Maybe something like that. I don't know what I'm going to play. I got hopefully something different than the organ part. Now, I'm talking about stereo already. Now, I haven't done much with the drum. We haven't done any panning yet. It's called panning and mixing. However, just give me a second. I want to look back on here. Okay, I'm going to set that organ off to my left side a little bit because I'm going to play another keyboard, and I'm going to move that to the right side a little bit. So right away I can hear it probably spread a little bit. But yeah, it'll help fill out that stereo spectrum like I was talking about before. So, okay, let me go to a new track. You know, something to think about is register. There's another term. You wouldn't play, I mean, you could, but it's going to sound like a mud and like, you know. Kind of like, you know, it's kind of like where it sits and you know, I feel like I should play something around this register. Okay, so it's on this one. This is E1, 2, 3, 4. E4, E5 area. That's the octave that you're in. I don't know if I feel like putting a major sound in there. That's the major third. Is minor. I don't know. I'd rather be more spacey. That's what I was doing with the organ. I was leaving that out, so it's ambiguous. Let's see what happens. don't know I have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe I'll try to be a little different rhythm than that. Because I just had this thought that this is good clavinet music, like a funky Stevie Winwood kind of thing. So let me stay out of the way of the funk, and just throw some of this in there. Let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm staying away from the organ. Let's see what we got. My organ's a little louder than the electric piano. We can mix that, of course. Yeah. All right. You get the idea how this is working, and I have it set to loop 12 bars, so it's repeating over and over and over again. And there's so much to cover here. It's just like ridiculously crazy about how you could break down, and you could do music -1, and you could leave tracks out, and you could do on-the-fly mixes and just jam along with the track without the bass player, whatever. You can do anything you want. Let me throw that funky clav in there. Let me pick one out. I love clavinet. Not to know how to play it, but I'll be busy, as they say. Okay. Who knows what's gonna happen? I have no idea. Funky clavinet, see what happens. 1, 2, Boy, did I mess that one up. I don't know if you can hear it, but I have the clavinet going randomly around. You know what's nice about that ending with the big space there is that if you are, let's say, sending this out and recording this somehow off the machine, you can let the loop play over and over and over again. And then when you want to end, you just stop it at that last measure and at bar 12, and it sounds like an ending. So that's why that's one trick for leaving stuff in there like that. Okay. So I think I got enough here. If you're listening, you have that locked in your head, that 98 beats per minute. It's going to be weird. It's going to sound really weird, but let's slow it down for a second. Remember 98. You guys remind me, okay? Here's 75. See what it feels like here. You're not going to like it, and probably when you first hear it. Kind of like it. It's I got my man behind me, Mr. Ludwig, Mr. Beethoven, and somebody had recorded his stuff digitally somewhere, and he slowed it down to like a snail's pace, and it still sounded like phenomenal music, which is pretty interesting. Let's put this up to like 1, 120 and see what that sounds like. The Billie Jean tempo. Okay, here's 120 BPM. See what that sounds like. Sounds a little artificial to me because of the riffs I was playing and stuff. Okay, yeah, that definitely doesn't do it for me. I'm going back to my 98. Now this sounds ridiculously slow almost, but that's where we started. Okay, next thing, let me just show you a couple things. How do you name tracks on here? I don't want to take your time with that, but this on the main screen is it says track edit, and so you hit that, and then it says you can name the track. It's a little bit of a pain in the neck. You got to type in each letter, and how do you type on this thing? There's no computer to type on. Well, one of the tricks I use is that I grow my right hand index finger, my fingernail, a little bit longer, and it works perfectly on the screen. If that doesn't work, you can do this, and this is not a good idea, but I've found it doesn't destroy the screens. Is the pencil point, the lead, it goes crazy on the screen, and it doesn't really leave marks if you do it really light. But stick with the fingernail. And as a guitarist, I don't care if my right finger's nails are longer, and I play classical guitar too, so actually that's a good thing. Okay, so let's just let me show you a couple things else, and then I'm going to invite you. I don't know if anybody's got a guitar out there or an instrument or a sax or whatever you got sitting with you, but you know, we could jam along with this a little bit, and I'm going to show you a couple things about practicing too. But before I mentioned music -1 and breaking it down, stuff like that. So I have my machine set on loop, so it's repeating over and over again. Okay, so I know that. So I'm going back here, and I can either solo tracks or I can mute them. There's a difference, of course. So let's mess around a little bit, and I'll just take stuff out, and we'll see what happens. So let's take the bass out. Okay, so I'm hitting mute on a little. It's a green icon that says play. When you hit it, it turns yellow, and it says mute, which is a beautiful thing. What else we want to take out? Let's take out Mr. Clavinet or Mrs. Clavinet, and we're just leaving one of the keyboards. Okay, so here's that. So we'll start with this. I don't know. I'm gonna knock out that cowbell track. Okay, so I'm gonna start again. Here's without the cowbell track too, just one keyboard in. And if you're recording out live from the machine to another machine, you could do your own mixes on the fly, which is a lot of fun. You know, you can get really creative with that. Okay, I'm going to add in the organ. The organ's a little too loud, so there's volumes for each channel. So I'm going to lower that organ to balance it with the keyboard. I don't know what you're hearing on your end, but that's what I'm hearing. I'm going to bring up that one keyboard there. Let's bring in Mr. Clav. Mixing as I'm going. I'm going to bring back the we have the percussion track with the cowbell and the bongos, the conga. Cinco de Mayo, we gotta have the conga. But when you're recording, you gotta feel the 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E. So what do we got? This is a bass player. Bring it in. Now I can work on mixing as this thing is playing back. You know, depends on what you hear. I have the room set up where I'm facing the stereo speakers and they're coming back at me. You gotta make sure you're sitting right in the center of the stereo thing and you get the best picture of the ears. Okay, that's an awful lot of things there. How do we save this? Okay, well, that's the whole thing. On the right-hand side, which I'm sorry there's no like picture of the screen or something, it has a button called disk. I don't know why they call it that, because the old O&Ws, the core O&Ws, they had actually floppy disks that went in there, and it was a disaster, and the disk drives are always breaking. And at least they got that together. They made it better. At least it's USB stuff and everything. I'm just going to save to the internal hard drive on the machine. The USB ports are in the back here if you wanted to. So is the 1/4-inch jack if you wanted to sing in it or play guitar. Like I said, it should be an XLR. It's ridiculous. I'm going to write to my friends at Korg, and I do know them, and tell them, change the machine in the back, okay? But I'm going to go to disk for a second. And what am I looking at? Got to be careful here. On the bottom one I'm looking at, it says load, save, or utility. With utility is when you can format USB sticks and like that. You can't just stick a USB stick in there. It has to be formatted for the machine, okay? And if you tried to take it and play it on another synthesizer like a Roland or something that has a USB in, you wouldn't get the sounds at all. You can save it as just as MIDI files, which is takes up much less memory. You can save it as a MIDI file and load the MIDI file in the other synth or the other whatever, and then go find sounds you want. But you're not going to get these sounds. These sounds are on this machine or called Kronos. But like I said before, this machine is loaded for bear. I got so many different synth engines that I had put in here when I got it. I'm going to save, because if I hit load at this point, I would erase every single thing we did so far today. I'd load what was in before, which was nothing. Okay, so I'm saving. So I go save, and I go save in the upper right-hand corner. Then it drops down, and I see save sequence, SEQ. What is that? Right? Well, you made a sequence, so that's what they call it. All right, so then it's there. I did put a title on it before, and so it's going to have my title there, and I'm going to say okay. It asks this question after I say okay, and I remember the first time seeing this, and like when I taught this in schools, it says, "Are you sure?" And it makes you nervous. But anyway, I'm going to say okay, because yeah, I'm sure I want to save it. All right, here we go. And now it's saving. Just a minute, okay? And now it's saved. Now it lets me know how much the size is right away. And this bad boy that we just did only used 47K of memory, which is nothing. It's like zilch. So anyway, that's it. I saved, and I'm going back to sequence. And I don't have much more to tell you except for you should be able to practice along with this stuff. If anybody has an axe at home, how about I'll just let it spin a bunch of times, and if you feel like playing along, it's just an E blues, okay? Maybe I'll get my axe out and join you, but here you go. Have a good time, and let's jam a little bit. clavinet a little loud. I want a little more organ. And you can change the mix at any time you want, which is the beauty of this. That's why I like that hole there. As you can see, this is an awful lot of fun. And like I said, you could, if you get these machines down, you could probably make that what I did in about 10 minutes, 15, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And it's exciting. You just sit here, you got your own band in your basement or whatever you want to do. So that's about all I want to show you today. I want to give a shout out and a thanks to the Long Island Blues Society. We got our president, Bill Lifford, and I'd like to thank especially Tony Davenport for putting these ads out and getting all that stuff together, and the fantastic board members that we have on board too. It's great staff. We have board meetings the first Monday of each month, and there's great stuff coming for the future, so stay tuned for the Long Island Blues Society. Okay, everybody, I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. I'm J. Peter Hansen.